Welcome to the Voice of Many podcast show with Yolanda and Vanessa. Back with us today from Bailey's Pharmacy here in Orlando, Florida, is Dr. William Glover. He is returning to answer a few questions from you, our viewers, on the different variants, COVID-19 itself, and to spin a positive light if there's one out there for us. But most of all, we want to welcome Dr. Glover and thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And for those that missed Dr. Glover, the last time we will be airing that recording as well. So you don't want to miss it. We have had the privilege to have you with us. Like I say, our listeners have had many questions. We'll share those with you. And thanks again to Bailey's Pharmacy for allowing you to join us. So we're going to jump into it and let's just talk about the current variants that are out there.
Okay. As far as the current variants, uh, the main one is more recent one is the Omicron. That's the what some may call the less severe in the sense of maybe less hospitalizations. However, that variant can still lead to um, some severe hospitalizations or illnesses. Um, and then we have the Delta variant. So that was the very first variant that was presented in 2019 when COVID-19 was discovered.
Okay.
And with those variants being there, if you've had them, especially the most recent one, do you still need to get vaccinated for it?
Yes, vaccination is always the answer because you want to have what they call optimal protection. With that optimal protection, you want to be as updated. I'm sorry, as you can, as far as making sure that you have a vaccination of some sort to basically ensure that you are being protected from severe illnesses. Hopefully not leading to hospitalizations and of course not death.
So I know many people out there were vaccinated that did, still get sick. Um, can you help us to understand why? I know the variant is not the fits all, but can you help us to understand why so many were still able to get sick, even though they've already had the um, the dosage and the booster shot?
Okay. So the Omicron variant has been shown to actually spread easier. We actually had the most cases in December 2021 because there was just the Omicron was at its peak and the spread of it was so severe and it's so easy to spread it versus not saying that the Delta variant wasn't as easy to spread, but they're saying that the Omicron is much easier to spread, and so that therefore you saw more people getting sick and getting COVID because of the easily transmittable COVID Omicron. I'm sorry, Omicron variant of the COVID-19. Um, I'm sorry. What was was there another part to that question? I want to make sure I answer.
Um, Vanessa, you have another part to that?
No, I was going to say I did see a lot more people getting sick quicker this time
Mhm.
than before. Even my own family here, we got sick with it about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago ourselves, and we hadn't been getting it, and then all of a sudden this new one came out, and kids at school left and right were getting sick, and then we got sick, and I didn't think it would be that easy, but it was kind of rough.
I mean, at the beginning of when the vaccinations first came out, it
Hmm.
was known that you could still get COVID even if you were vaccinated. However, I do believe that it played a role in as far as it being a holiday season. I saw way more cases of whole families getting it
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
there were way more gatherings. um, that on top of the Omicron variant being more easily spread, that just led to more people getting COVID. And you know, I believe and we can get into that later, but I believe that a lot of people, uh, some of them saw it as maybe like a common cold. Some people were, very frightened,
Mm-hmm.
because the Omicron variant does seem to be less severe as the Delta variant. However, it still needs to be taken very seriously, especially because if it can spread that easily, then we run the risk of having a bigger population having it all at one time, which could, obviously not lead us to be protected as we desire to be. So,
Okay. All right. Well, the last time we were able to have you with us, we
mhm.
spoke about the booster shots. Can you please go over the importance of the booster shot, who really needs the booster shot, and words of encouragement to those who have already had the booster shot, but like you say, this time they got the virus as well?
Okay. Sure. So I want to clear up a couple things. There are sometimes where people ask, "Am I fully vaccinated if I don't get the booster shot?" Um, you are if you completed the two-shot series or the one shot of the Johnson and Johnson, and 2 weeks later, after that last shot, you would be considered fully vaccinated. Now, there's a difference between being fully vaccinated and being optimally protected. The booster is considered if you get the booster. So we have the Moderna and we have the Pfizer. The Pfizer and the Moderna are to be taken at least 5 months. As far as the booster, should be taken at least 5 months from the last dose that you got when you received your uh, your second of the two series. And then for Johnson and Johnson, it's at least 2 months from the first time that because it was only a one shot. So at least 2 months from then is the booster for for Johnson and Johnson. With that being said, uh, the there are some people that were like, in question, which I was discussing earlier, is that, oh, well, am I fully vaccinated? Am I not fully vaccinated? The key to the key is that you are fully vaccinated, but with the booster, you are not. If you don't have the booster, you're not optimally protected, and the goal is to be optimally protected as well. Um, or they may also use the term "you're not up to date." But you can still be considered fully vaccinated. I know that that's a lot of questions that come into the pharmacy for me. Is basically people asking me if they're fully vaccinated, even though they, have not received the booster. So I just kind of wanted to clear that up. But yes, the booster is highly recommended for optimal protection. As we mentioned before, we're seeing a bigger spread from the Omicron variant. Um, it's just probably in the best interest of every individual to get a booster when eligible.
Okay. Right.
Do you see COVID going away or the name possibly ever changing?
That's a good question. I want to say uh, I want to be optimistic in saying that COVID will go away, but at the end of the day, I think that it's also best to maybe at this point add it to our list. We have vaccinations that we already have in place, such as the flu, the influenza, the MMR, the polio, different things. We're just going to add COVID to the list. I also tell
Mm.
my patients that come in that we're still writing the history book. We're not reviewing the history book. So with that being said, I'm not at liberty to say that it will be eradicated fully. I think that at this point it will always be on our minds if you live through this period. So I don't believe that even if we say that it's gone away, I don't believe that mentally we have will be able to get there for quite some time and just ignoring that COVID existed. So
Mm.
I do believe we're just gonna go ahead and add it to the list of vaccines that are needed for protection, and as well as you know basically let's keep writing the history book because we're not reviewing it yet.
Okay. So, what do you suggest to those that are still refusing to get the vaccination? And what is it that they can do to remain safe if it's religion or preference, whatever preference it may be, not to receive the vaccination?
Oh yes, I see that quite often. Been asked that quite a few times. Uh, I believe that if you're not going to get the vaccination, do your best to stay away or stay away, obviously, from large crowds. Um, the whole thing about the vaccination is to reduce severe illness, hospitalizations, and of course, death. If you're not going to get the vaccination, I think that it's in your best interest to keep yourself safe as far as wearing a mask everywhere you go, making sure that hands stay sanitized, just following all the precautions that are needed. I believe that it may take also a mental toll on you if you did find out that you had COVID and you weren't vaccinated. I believe that you're going to have some level of concern, knowing that you're not vaccinated. The vaccination has been and has continuously shown less uh, less occurrences of hospitalizations, severe illness, and death. So, with that being said, make sure that you protect yourself as much as possible. Do not stay, you don't want to be out in the public as much if you don't have to be, and wear your mask everywhere you go to make sure you're wearing the proper mask. I don't know if anyone saw the segment that we had as far as the news coming to Bailey's, but the government has basically cascaded down the right N95 mask, 3 masks for per individual, which we haven't received our mask yet, but we are looking to get that very soon.
Okay. All right.
And I know for some people, if you're around someone with COVID, how long should they wait until they get tested? And I know too recently the CDC just changed how long you should wait after your positive test before going back to work or resuming normal function, even without getting tested again.
Yeah. So as far as getting tested after exposure, you want to at least you don't want to do it within 24 hours, but you want to do it immediately, if that makes any sense. Because you may get a false negative if it's within, like,
Mm.
totally within, like, less than 24 hours. Um, and then even after maybe 5 to 7 days after, if you have had exposure, you may want to get tested again, just to
Mm.
see if you because sometimes these things take time, and I
Mm.
think that a lot of times our biggest obstacle was, when was I exposed, or who
Okay.
was, you may be around a family member or someone, and you're just like, oh, you did. And then so the accuracy of that is all contingent on when someone reported it. So
Mm.
sometimes someone reports it very fast, and then we get tested, or we go and panic and get tested so fast before the 24 hours, and then we get a negative, only to
Mm-hmm.
find out that we have symptoms uh, in the next few days, and then we're like, wait, but I thought I was negative, So you want to, you really want to kind of take as much precautions with the timing, because the timing is everything when it comes to the testing and making sure that you are, whether you're negative or positive, that you are accurate with that information.
Okay. Well, speaking about similarities, um, with the symptoms,
Mhm.
what are some of the similarities between the two? Because I know with Vanessa, she was thinking that at first it was just a cold sinus problem. And that's what I heard from several other people that I know that came down with this last wave with this virus
Mm-hmm.
variant. So what what do we really need to pay attention to know that hey, I may really have this?
I think that if you have any type of symptoms that seem like a cold, as I stated before, guys, I want to re-stress that we're writing history, which means that we have to make sure that we take all the precautions that are necessary. We're not in a position where we can just say, "Oh, well, it's just a cold," or anything like that. We
Mm-hmm.
have to take the precautions, get tested, see, because you're not just getting tested for yourself and finding out the results for yourself, but you're also doing it for the family members that are around you. So I encourage anyone that it is oftentimes it is easy to say, oh well, it's just a cold, and for the Omicron variant, it has presented such as like a common cold. It hasn't
Mm-hmm.
been as severe as the Delta variant. However, you we just talked about individuals that may not be vaccinated, and
Right.
you want to make sure that if you're saying the Omicron variant is more easily spread, then you want to make sure that you take the proper precautions, regardless of whether it diagnosed or feels like just a common cold.
True.
That's for sure. Because, like my mom said, I thought it was maybe just sinus cold, getting dizzy every now and
Mm-hmm.
then. Next thing you know, we're all just sick.
Yeah, yeah, that's. I mean, it definitely, and no, not laughing at you or anything like that, but it definitely, you know, we have been trained like that as far as
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
our minds is to, kind of just fight through things, and oh well, I'll be fine, and different things like that. But again, now you're getting checked up. Now you're doing things not just for yourself, but you're doing things for other people
Yeah.
That's
at
right.
this point, because uh, we actually don't have all of the answers. If we did, we wouldn't be going through this. So
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, we got to take all the precautions we can.
True.
That's right.
Well, Dr. Glover, I want to thank you so much for joining us, and it's been a pleasure having you with us again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And to those of you that are watching or listening, please don't forget to follow us on our social media web pages. And also, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button, as we don't want you to miss any of our special guests and great topics. And we want to thank you for tuning in.